Okay, so we're going to be looking at another exercise for strengthening when we're bracing. And this one, we don't need any equipment for. We can do it anywhere, we can do it at home. We're just going to do the press up. So I have a very specific way to do press ups. I don't do the wide hand. We don't do the elbows out shoulder height. We do the narrow hand, hands directly underneath the shoulders, and we're going to press the elbows, squeezing the rib cage. So this is working much more of the back. We're going to work triceps in this one. And the reason that we want to do this is because most of us will have a tendency to have an overworked pec and sort of front side of the body here. We'll have rounded shoulders from working at desk. And so what we really want to be strengthening is those big back muscles. Make sure that we're opening the chest and holding a nice, good upright position. So when we're bracing, we want to be thinking about utilising those back muscles, strengthening the lats, the mid-traps, and using those to really work with our brace and work with our teammates, rather than using the front muscles, the smaller muscles, the pecs, and really overworking those muscles. It tends to mean that we bring the arm into a more dangerous position. So we really want to be focusing on strengthening the back. So that's what we're going to be looking at in this press up. So we're going to come down to the floor, and for the first couple I'm going to demonstrate with the knees down, and the reason for that is I want to make sure that we can maintain a strong core and a nice flat back whilst we do this exercise. I don't want us to feed into a natural habits of exaggerated anterior tilts and a nice dip in the lower spine that we often see when we do a more traditional style of a press up. So we're going to keep the knees down. This won't make it specifically any easier. It's just going to help us maintain that good body alignment. So we're going to have our hands directly underneath the shoulders, and we're going to come into a tabletop position. So we're going to take the knees just slightly back so they're on about a 45-degree angle, and we're going to make sure that we've got a nice flat back. So we should be able to see a good straight line all the way down the spine from the pelvis to the shoulders. From here, we're going to drop the elbows back. So back towards the body, and we're going to squeeze the rib cage as we lower the chest towards the floor. Now you'll notice that my back stays flat the entire time, and that my hips only move down as my shoulders move down. I'm not going to drop the pelvis down here and have that nice anterior tilt in my pelvis, because you can see that's not a very nice alignment on the spine, and then we end up with a sort of pivoting happening in the thoracic spine. Instead, I'm going to lock my spine nice and straight by squeezing the belly button in towards the spine, and I'm going to squeeze the glutes as well to stabilise the pelvis, so that as I lower the chest towards the floor, the hips and pelvis are going to come along, but they're going to stay a little bit upright, so that we've got that nice straight line in the back, and then I can press up from there. So I want you to have a go at that first. Have a little look at your technique, have a look at whether or not you can keep your back nice and flat, whether you can feel your core and your glutes working throughout that exercise as well. And then we're going to progress to taking the knees off. So when we take the knees off, to begin with, we're going to keep this same hip alignment. So we're going to keep the knees bent, we're not going to straighten them out, and we're just going to lift them a little bit off the floor. So now I have lifted my knees off and I've got all my body weight to lower down, and I'm going to maintain the same body position as when I had the knees on the floor. So instead of doing this, where we straighten the legs out, and you can probably see that anterior tilt and that dip in my lower spine, so as I do my press up, there's that really exaggerated tilt in the lumbar region. Instead, what we're going to do is we're going to keep that spine nice and straight by keeping the knees bent and helping us maintain that good neutral spine alignment. So we're simply going to get into the same position we were in before, and then lift the knees up, making sure we're keeping that nice spine alignment, squeezing that belly button in, and then lowering the chest down and pressing up. So as you can see, my hips do stay a little higher than my shoulders throughout this, because I'm really focused on that good connection between my core and my back and my lower body as well, with my glutes activated. Once we get comfortable with that style of press up and we get better, stronger in the core and more able to straighten the legs out without losing that nice neutral spine, then we can start to progress that on. And the only way that we're going to get better at that is simply through practice. So keeping going with these and having a go at the reps, slowly increasing them up whilst we build up that strength is how we're going to get there. So eventually, when we have got that ability to keep that spine nice and straight with the legs more sort of further out, away from us, coming into a straighter leg position, then we can start to progress and we can continue with our press ups there. And I'm hoping they were good reps because I'm still working on this myself without letting that lumbar spine dip, without that exaggerated anterior tilt coming back into play. So just to recap the tips for you, we want to make sure that our hands are directly underneath the shoulders at shoulder height. There's no forward lean. We're not here, we're not here. We've got that nice straight line and that they're shoulder width apart as well. We're going to make sure that we're going to take the elbows back towards the body. So when we're in the bottom of our press up, there should be no daylight here between the rib cage and the arm. It should be nice and tight. So we've got in a nice straight line and we should be able to feel the lats engage as we do that. And we're going to keep that core nice and tight, squeezing that belly button in, keeping that nice neutral spine throughout our press. So as I said at the beginning, really start with the knees down and really focus on keeping that nice neutral spine before you progress. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it informative. If you don't already,